Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Spawn Trap Podcast, the only quadruple A gaming podcast that
Mhm.
now features timestamps in yellow paint.
Let's go.
I you don't get
I
the
don't know what I
reference.
just did with my hands. I was like,
Do you get the reference?
no. What do you mean in yellow
There
paint?
was a big Twitter. Actually, it's an ongoing Twitter controversy. It
Ooh,
keeps resurfacing every once in a while. There's this theory, which I'm thinking, you know what, it might be a little bit legitimate, but there's this theory that every game now tries to like hold your hand and telling you where to go by by
red
putting
paint or red like
putting
with the white.
yellow, like specifically yellow paint on objects or surfaces to tell you where you can
Yes.
go, where you can climb. And they show like egregious examples of it with like a remake of a Resident Evil game showing a bunch of like ladders that are smattered in yellow paint.
Yeah.
There's the Final Fantasy game has like
Yeah.
ledges you
Yeah.
can climb. There's yellow paint on them. I'm playing
Yes.
Horizon Forbidden West, and you use like the focus to see like where to go, whatever. And they have yellow digital lines on the surfaces. I'm like, oh, yellow paint. so
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so you know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah. Even like the Tomb Raider game and stuff that
Yep.
they had, that was like one of the first things I noticed where I'm like, they're like open world. I'm like, is it? Because there's a ledge, but it's not
Yeah.
with paint. So I can't go on that ledge. Like, okay.
It's seeing some of the arguments though. I'm like, it's blown way out of proportion, and I'm like, it's not a
Yeah.
big deal, but you kind of have a point. It's the yellow
Yeah.
paint in like every game. Anyways, I'm Till. I'm joined by Court. We're
Hi.
gonna be talking about video games. We haven't really had a proper podcast in a while. The last
Yep.
two we were just talking about going over like the biggest game news we missed last year and the
Yep.
biggest games we're looking forward to this year. And it's currently the end of March as of recording this. And there's been a
Yeah.
lot of big games that have come out. Um, what are you playing recently?
I just finished Princess Peach's
You finished
Showtime.
it.
I finished it, yeah, in like
Okay.
3 days, but it was like I think 10 hours in
Mm-hmm.
total. Paid $80 for a 10-hour game. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go. And and then now I'm like replaying Stardew Valley because there was a huge update for that game, and I
Oh, there
love
was.
Stardew Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
did make a co-op hosting thing if you want to play or whatever.
Stardew Valley is not a game that interests me at all. I know it probably should be because I do enjoy
No,
Animal Crossing. And I don't know if that's like
it
similar. Not really, but
it kind it's like it's a really wholesome game in a
okay.
way where like and but it's like a farming sim, like you farm, but then there
Yeah.
is like a dungeon that you can go in and fight stuff, but it's a sim game and it's like yeah. So
Okay.
it's like if you didn't want to do Sunhaven, then you wouldn't like Stardew because
I
Stardew's
don't think
like
so.
less
Yeah.
adventurous.
Similarly for me, like on the Switch side of things, I have played Mario versus Donkey Kong. I've recently beat that game. I'm trying to play through every Donkey Kong game, Court. It's
How is
been a
that going?
journey. Right
Yeah.
now, right now, I'm playing this stupid thing, Donkey
Oh my
Konga.
God. Oh my
If
God.
this was
Yeah,
a mistake,
those music. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this will be fun. It's a rhythm game. Nope. Garbage game. Don't play it.
Garbage game.
It might be more fun with
It's
the
just
controller, but I don't.
yeah, it'd be cool if you could upload your own music and then it would
I'm
just
sure
map
there's
it
like
for you.
mods, like
Mods, yeah.
ROMs or stuff that you can get that people do.
Like just
Um,
do WAP. Certified free.
there's
7
some
days a week. WAP, WAP, WAP.
there's some questionable music choices in that game for a kids game. I will say that.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, Mario versus Donkey Kong. Not bad. I never played the Game Boy Advance game. I do have the Game Boy Advance game actually. I recently bought it either at a thrift stop or a thrift store.
Thrift store.
I think I got it at a thrift store, or I bought it off eBay. Um, but I most recently got the Game Boy Advance cartridge, and I was actually gonna play it on stream because I'm like, oh, that's the next up in my list. And then I realized that the Switch version's coming out, which is a remake of that game. Um, it's okay. I do like
Yeah.
puzzle platformers, so like I had a fun time playing it. Um,
Yeah. Peach's game was fun.
mhm,
It's a kid's game, and it was like super easy. Like you're just
yeah,
mashing like buttons. So I could definitely see where it's like a kid can play it and just like a like. And I do like how, you know, it's about Peach and she's kind of the hero and she's badass and she gets all these really cool powers and
yeah.
stuff like that. And it gave me some Mario 64 feels, where like you're going to the different levels and like you're getting
Okay, yeah,
like the stars and stuff, and you don't have to get all of the stars, but you can always go back, but then you have to
right,
play through the
yeah,
whole thing instead of like targeting one star and like just doing that. But you get multiple stars per run instead of like doing one star at a time like Mario 64.
hmm,
But my only qualms was, yeah, it was a short game, and then the
yeah,
graphics, like it was so choppy, the loading screen,
hmm,
and I was like, come on, Nintendo, what are you doing? Like this, like you're gonna do
yeah.
choppiness, and then
I did
and
see
then
some of that. Yeah, it looked
yeah,
terrible.
and then even like you remember how, and again, this is where people all like when it comes to Pokemon, everyone is all up in arms. But I'm like, yeah,
Hmm,
but look at like their other games too, and Peach's game would be an example with like the cutting on the edges of like her character, like it's
yeah,
like copy and paste, and it's like it's so poorly done, and so I was disappointed in that thing. But
I
again, I'm not huge on graphics.
yeah.
So
But
I was more
performance is
about,
another thing, right? I mean, there's also like the
yeah,
performance issue of Pokemon, and I think in these cases they're not specifically Nintendo working on these like specific game examples. Like the
yeah,
Pokemon games are Game Freak, and
yeah.
the Peach game was developed by a different studio, which was from the what are the games? The Gomon
Yeah, which
games.
is so funny that you had said that
Yeah.
because the premise of Peach's game is that this alien, or like what's her, Madam Grape, she comes in and
Wait,
she
what?
just wants to perform. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, Peach Grape. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
so she
sure,
wants to
sure, yeah.
perform her show and do
Mm-hmm.
this, but you're like, no. And then but it's funny because when I was playing it, I was like, oh my God, like it's funny that you had mentioned that the one of the people that worked on it, or the studio, was the one that did Mystic Ninja, because
Yeah.
I remember as a kid playing Mystic Ninja before I knew how to like really understand games per se. Like, you have a grasp, but you don't really get what's going on.
Yeah.
And Mystic Ninja, I remember it was such a good game because it was very similar to Zelda. And back when they made really great games like that, and you would go to the different like towns, and you could go into all the houses, and you like fought these like monsters and stuff like that. And it was just, and you could like you kind of like traveled around. It was sick. And when I played it when I was older,
Mm-hmm.
to get I was like, oh, I can finally understand the story now, and it's literally about an alien show group that just wants to perform, and then you're there to stop them, and I'm like, why? And then so it was funny that with the Peach game, it's the same premise where it's about wanting to perform, and I was like, does this person just have one idea and one idea only? So yeah,
um,
it was quite interesting.
you also played or you yeah, you recently played and finished Final Fantasy VII
Fantasy
Rebirth, right?
Rebirth. Yes. 10 out of 10 game. Such a good game. There's just so much to it. I like, well, I don't have a PS5, or and I have to give this one back, but it's like
So wait, you're
I'm
playing it
definitely
on
gonna
a
replay it.
borrowed PS5?
Yeah, my
Okay.
buddy lent me a PS5, so I was able to play it because I wanted to do it for the weekend, so that's why I had to finish it
Mm-hmm.
quickly or as fast as possible.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, great game. Like just instantly you like go into like the town, like the first town you're in, Calm, is just so much to it, and it's a little bit overwhelming, but then you can always go back. And then the minute you get out into the world, you realize how big this map is going to be. And then there's so much stuff to it. It was a little bit, I hated Chadley. He was really annoying, and I
Sadly.
just wanted to be like, shut up, stop talking to me. Like, can I just skip this? And I realized you could just certain parts you could skip. But again, at the beginning, they have to explain everything. And then even there's like a quest I think you had to do for
Okay.
Queen's Blood. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then I ended up loving Queen's Blood.
Hmm.
And then I would go to every town and be like, where's the Queen's Blood players? I have to defeat
Oh,
them.
that's like the little mini game.
Yeah, like the card mini game.
Card game, yeah.
And then the story made a bit more sense.
Mhm.
Like, because there was more, and there was also more interactions between the characters to really like connect with them and stuff. Because um when I played the OG, again, everything's so short because, and then when you're a kid, when you're playing it, it seems a lot longer, but as a like when you're playing it as an adult, you're like, oh, like that's it. But with this one, you would do certain quests that would have like a focus on a certain like side character. So say if it was Barrett,
Mhm.
and then you're like chasing this dog, which has like the best soundtrack when you're doing the chasing dog quest.
Okay.
Ba, ba, da, da, and you're just like, it's like so upbeat. But then as you're chasing them, like Barrett's talking to you about his thoughts and feelings, and then you're kind of making comments and all this jazz. And so there's a lot more like interaction, and like there is a focus on developing relationships. Because that was one thing that I messed up on was, and the only thing I redid was the relationship with Tifa, where we were able to get the date with Tifa, but then we weren't able to get the kiss. And then so I had to go back and max out her relationship and do like all these side quests and stuff just so I could get the kiss. I'm like, I've waited 26 years for this kiss. I'm going to get it. But and then at the very end, again, it sets up a premise where you're still kind of confused and you're still trying to figure out what exactly is going on in this world. But they
Mhm.
do such more in depth with like the life stream and kind of like they're like, because in the OG, the reason why some characters like their side quests or their storylines are kind of cut short, or why originally Cloud has this split personality and thinks that he's Zack, is because they scrapped a lot of lines because I think it was becoming too long of a game. But now they have the
Sure,
ability
yeah.
to really like go back into that and then give it more meaning and thought and more explanation and stuff like that. Because
Was
that was
there
one thing when
was
I
there
first played the game.
Mhm.
What? What?
No, no, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, when I first played the game, being so confused with the story and being like, oh, I feel like there's parts that are missing that aren't really explained. And then, talking to people on stream and stuff like that, they explain, they're like, well, some of the line, like plot was scrapped because it was getting too
Mm,
long of a game.
right.
So it's like 3 discs
Yeah, yeah.
and it's cutscenes.
What was did the original game have voice acting or was it all written?
It was all written.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and
Yeah, I
and
can
that's
get that.
like,
Too much stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I will always argue about how terrible Sid was written in Final Fantasy VII, and it's interesting to talk to people that haven't played the OG recently, or at least like, and then how I like voice acted his lines, because I was like, this
Get
is this is what it sounds like.
in your head, yeah.
And yeah, well, like I was doing
Yeah.
it out loud like on stream, and
Yeah.
then I would be like, like shocked. I'm like, oh, he's so rude because he's like verbally abusive to one of these female
Oh,
characters.
wow.
Yeah, no, it's awful. Like he's swearing at her,
Yeah.
and the reason why, so this is like always like the rant that comes up, and I always talk about this, but
Go for it.
it's
I'm just
um
nodding ahead because I know nothing
y-
about Final
y-
Fantasy, so.
yeah. So and these are conversations like that, and it's changed now in Rebirth too. But it's like an argument that I keep having with my one friend, and because he's like, oh well, the reason why he's an asshole to this girl is because she stole his dream. I'm like, yeah, but then you find out that she was right and that he could have died and she basically saved his life, and then he says sorry, and then all is forgiven for being verbally abusive for how many years?
Mhm.
Unforgivable. But it's like back in the day when you're a kid and you're playing this,
Yeah.
like they wrote that character to be like this tough talking but warm-hearted guy, but like, and they add in like the swear words and stuff like that, so you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this character's so cool, but you don't understand, like, because back in that day, like when it first came out, I don't know, toxic masculinity was acceptable and being verbally abusive to
Sure.
women was like
Yeah.
totally fine.
I
And like you don't understand, like, because nowadays people, it's a conversation to be had about what's appropriate and what's not, and like how you shouldn't be treated, and like there's like this whole breakdown of the like stereotypes and the like the structure of all that, like just the male and female, like blah 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 blah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so like back in the day, it was acceptable, so it didn't age well. Like
Hmm.
and that was like kind of the main theme of that OG game, and a lot of old games too, and movies as well, where they say certain phrases, and then you're
Hmm.
watching the movie now, you're like,
Like
ooh,
that.
we like
There's
that's a bad joke.
what's that Netflix show that they adapted from that anime where they changed one character's dialogue so that he's not as misogynistic as he was.
Oh, I don't know.
Uh, like my cousin was just telling me about it. I think it's the Avatar live action. Like there's
Oh,
a
really?
character that they made less misogynistic, but I guess the point of that character was that he goes through a growing and learning phase where he like this character development, he's not that asshole anymore. And they're like, well,
Yeah.
what's the point if he's not misogynistic because he needs to grow to become a better person,
Yeah.
right? So like what's he end up doing in that show? I don't know anything about Avatar, so because I haven't watched it, so
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know how true that is, but
yeah, I would have to like check it, but it's like
mhm,
again, it's one of those things where when it comes to writing, like I feel like they really tried to force that personality type on Sid and then kind
sure.
of make up for it, but I feel like it was poor writing because you can have like an example would be Zenitsu from Demon Slayer, where he's all gung ho about girls and he's obsessed with them. He's always marry me, please, like, but then the characters are constantly like calling him out on his behavior and he gets so much better. So like there's that. So, but then he's not like a misogynist or he's well written in that way where you can kind of be like, okay, I can understand where
Yeah.
all these things are coming from. But like with Sid, it's like it was so terribly executed with trying to make him this tough guy. And he's one of the most beloved characters in Final Fantasy. Like he's
Yeah.
in all of them, I think, or whatever. And so it was interesting that they, with Rebirth, he like his whole like they don't even we don't even go to his town, like because that's where that all that kind of stuff happens. And
Mhm.
instead, like he's still tough talking. Like he's like fuck Shinra, because that's like his thing. Is like fuck Shinra, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna go to space. But then he's also really nice. So he like has this really nice, warm-hearted conversation with Aerith, and you're like, okay, like this is where he is a really good guy. But in
Mhm.
Rebirth, they were able to show that like that he's a tough talking, warm-hearted guy. When in the OG, he's this verbally abusive asshole
Sure.
who then like says sorry and then all should be forgiven. It's like, it's that's why I'm like unforget. Nope, I'm not. I'm like I don't like that version of him. Like because it's not acceptable now. But again, I do understand bad writing. It didn't age well. It didn't
Yeah.
probably translate, because when you're trying to force a character to be something, it
Yeah.
like you can tell when it's poor writing, when
Same
or
with
if something happens more organically.
I think in contrast to that actually, the another recent game is the remake of I guess remaster of the original Tomb Raider trilogy.
Oh,
They there's a lot of offensive like racist stereotypical stuff that was in those games.
yeah.
I don't know what exactly. I've tried playing those old games and I could not wrap my head around the tank controls. So I'm like, I can't play this
You're
game.
like, I don't
I
understand.
love Tomb Raider, but I can't play because I never grew up playing the original. I watched my cousins and my uncle play through some of the old games, but
Yeah,
I've never actually played them myself. So I've tried, I'm in a retro kick. I'm playing the games I missed out on in my childhood.
yeah.
So I've tried jumping into that game because I'm like, I love Tomb Raider. I'm sure I'll love the original games, and I just could not wrap my head around it. And so I guess the new games have newer controls schemes that you can
Oh, good.
play with, but it still looks clunky and convoluted. So I don't know if I really want to jump into the original games. But
Yeah.
from what I've read is that they've decided to keep the controversial stuff in that game, but put
Oh,
in a warning at the beginning, like, hey, we wanted to um preserve this for like historical reference, like what these games were at that time, and
yeah.
also um like leave it in here to showcase like what's wrong with it and the problematic um uh statements in the game and everything,
Yeah.
and why it's wrong, right?
Oh, that's
And
good.
put a statement at the beginning saying like we don't agree or condone with
Condone.
this, but we think it's important to keep it in here for context and accuracy, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a different way to handle that compared to what Final Fantasy
Yeah.
did.
Well,
So
and again, I understand, like, yeah, back in the day, like that kind of behavior and like those stereotypes, like that's what that was the day and age that we grew up in, that we
yeah,
thought was okay to be
which
that
it
way. And
wasn't.
then but
Mhm.
exactly, and then luckily we're in the like our age group as well, or like,
Mhm.
around us and stuff, like we've also been a part of like the growing of
Yeah.
it, where it's like, no, this isn't acceptable,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, yeah, movies that say like the R word, or like,
Yeah.
bad jokes and stuff like that. And like there was one movie, it was on Netflix, and the girl's in a coma for years, and then she comes out of it and she has to
This
redo
is
her high school,
massive
and she
racist.
drops. Yeah, was it
No, no, no. I'm just saying, like, she woke out of coma, and she's just
like
like, oh,
just
this is
like
gonna be
so.
as racist as I was back in the day. No.
Yeah, but she like, and like there's a scene where she drops the R word, and then
Mm,
like one character turns to her, she's like, we can't say that anymore. Like things are
mm,
different now. So she's like, "What? Then how am I supposed to call someone?" And they're like, "Okay, so and then they explain like why it's
yeah.
not acceptable anymore." And so but that's like, again, yeah, with older games, like I bet like if we were to go back and like look at older
Oh yeah,
games and
for
stuff, I
sure.
bet there's so
There's a lot
much.
of examples of that for sure.
Yeah, and so it's interesting with like the remake of Final Fantasy as well, because someone made a comment. They're like, "Oh, I feel like they've really emphasized like the women in this," and I'm like, "Well, they should, because like the women characters are like just as strong as the guy characters." And
Hmm.
they even took out the part where like song like it's like slaps Aerith,
Oh,
because they're like,
okay.
that might not translate well,
Yeah.
like, but again, it's I'm like these are in the good ways to kind of show better characters, and like, or to really, show like not equality, but like, yeah, to be like, these are just as important.
Hmm?
And so it's always interesting when, it's like a very male dominated like game, and then suddenly like
Yeah.
now the women are getting just as much, and then people are like, "Oh, but why?" Like, like it's like,
Well,
why not?
the other thing is like when you talk about those old games, and like what characters people love, the women are a big part of that conversation, and it's like
Yeah.
these are some people's favorite characters. Why not give them the highlight? Because that's only beneficial to like everybody at that point.
Yeah.
The people who like them, the people who are making the games, right?
Yeah.
The only people it hurts are the people that are butthurt about it. It's like, and why is that the case? You got to look inward
Yeah.
and then realize there's something wrong there, and it's
How
not with the
dare they put
game.
pronouns?
It's not with the
Like,
game. It's with you.
yeah.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about let's go all in on the what's recently been released, because there's some other notable stuff I think is worth talking about. Um, and this is just from Google, so I don't have a
Okay.
full list of stuff. I know the South Park game just recently came out, and I've heard it's not great. So this is the
I
Snow Day
mean,
one, where it's like a multiplayer, like uh I think it's like a big like snow fight kind of game.
okay.
And it's a big, like the previous South Park games are like 2D animation. They very much look like the TV show, and they look great, and they were reviewed great. This is like such a departure, where it's like a 3D
Oh,
style multiplayer snowball fight kind of game. And I've just heard nothing but bad things about this game. So
I wonder if it's the same developers,
I think it
because
is.
sometimes if they change it, then like that's why like the games can tend to change.
Yeah, the publisher at least, THQ Nordic, I think was the same one that published the previous games, but
Yeah.
I think it
It's like
is.
it's always interesting when games change like this, because
Yeah.
it's like Sonic. Sonic was so great on Sega with the side scrolling
Oh,
2D,
Sonic has
and
been through a roller coaster.
oh
Like
my god, right? And
that's
then when
the whole
3D became like the biggest thing, and they're like, "Oh, let's
yeah,
do Sonic," but it didn't translate well.
right, yeah.
Of like what it did so well with
What's the
saw
first one?
like Sega.
Was it CD? That was like the first 3D one technically?
I think Dreamcast
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the first
Well,
like
Dreamcast had the
Dreamcast
um
was awesome.
Dreamcast had the Sonic Adventure, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then that was like 3D and you could run around
but
and like
I think
again,
I think
fun game.
Sonic's I think Sonic CD had like the 3D moments where there's like the bonus levels or whatever, and you turn into like 3D Sonic for a little bit.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
but you're like literally just moving around and you're just
Yeah,
moving forward and collecting the balls or whatever the fuck. I remember those stupid that game was so hard.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so hard. But again, it's made to like like you're just replaying it till you're
Yeah.
better at it. It's like a Dark Souls game pretty
Sure,
much,
yeah,
but
yeah. But
but
Sonic.
more colorful. But it's Sonic.
Another controversial one recently is Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay, so
Um,
why is it controversial? I know that it's gotten mixed reviews on Steam because apparently it sucks on PC.
no,
Even if
I
you
don't
have
think
a
that's the
really good
case.
PC, it's like apparently it sucks. Like from what I was reading,
Oh,
because I was
okay.
tempted to to trade in my Peach game
Hmm.
for Steam money and then get Dragon's Dogma 2, but my graphics card is like a gen behind. And so when I was reading the reviews, they were like, I have the most up-to-date drivers are like, this is my graphics card, and it
Sure.
still is having issues.
I haven't
And
heard
then,
anything on that front. I've been hearing
yeah,
amazing things about this game, like the game itself. The
yeah,
content quality of the game itself has
yeah.
been um like people have been singing praises about it. In I think
Yeah.
to be honest, I think in a similar um style as Baldur's Gate 3. Like
Oh, okay.
I think that's how well people are enjoying this game.
Oh,
There's
good. And
people
then
out
Baldur's Gate 3 had its problems,
sure, and
as
I'm
we
sure
always
Dragon's
say.
Dogma 2 has its problems too.
Yeah.
The controversial thing that I'm seeing is the DLC, the optional DLC that you can buy for this game is like a huge list for
Oh.
small um kind of features, and people are saying are making it out to be like these are important things that you need in the game to play the game.
So
But
they're like
it's
gate like forcing you to kind of get the DLC.
yeah, but it's from what I understand, the biggest one or the two biggest things, and I haven't delved deep into this, so I could be wrong. Please don't like be too vicious with me in the comments. I get the like correcting me, updating me. I appreciate it. But like please be a little bit gentle for me if I'm speaking out of turn, and you can look up and do this research yourself. From what I understand, um the two biggest things are like um things that you can buy to progress easier in the game,
Oh, so pay to win kind of.
which people have made it out to be like you have to keep buying like the same thing over and over again, but from what I understand, no, it's a one-time purchase. um and then there's another thing involving fast travel, where fast travel is not in the game, but it's deliberate, where the developers are like, we want you to explore, but
Yeah,
they
my but
wanted to give the option of purchasing fast travel if you want to do that. And people are upset
oh.
like we have to pay to fast travel.
Yeah.
um from what I
They
hear,
did
like
it
the
on
people
Skyward
who
Sword.
yeah
It's like you had to buy the amiibo to get the fast travel or whatever.
well, people were pissed
Yeah.
then too, right?
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but I
My
think
buddy
like
literally apparently fell off his like what he was trying to fly somewhere and then
right.
fell off. And then he was like, fuck, now I have to travel like 3 hours
Yeah.
to like go back. And he's like,
Yep.
no. And like, which I get. It's like, I get that. Cause then you're like, oh shit. Like now I
Yeah.
got to go all the way back. And it's like,
People are also upset that
damn.
reviewers didn't talk about this aspect of the game, but they got the game copy before all this other stuff was out there, like all
So
this
it's like,
extra
why not?
DLC. So they were reviewing the game as is. But secondly, from what I've heard from people who are enjoying the game and are positively playing it and didn't even pay attention to the DLC and didn't even know it was a thing, they're saying it's not a big deal. Like you jump in the game, play the game is awesome.
Hmm.
And if you want to have the experience that the DLC, like the extra DLC gives you, that option is there for you if you want to pay for it, but you can still play the game as it is without all that. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Again, I don't know how you feel. I'll be interested in the comments. Just please know that I'm a little bit ignorant on this topic. I'm just like
Yeah.
getting secondhand information from podcasts, reviewers, people talking online about this game. So,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah,
curious.
I feel like a big thing that people always kind of talk about too is just like how when you come out with a game and then it's like not you feel like it's not the full game that you're getting and you have to get the DLC to get it, and that's I feel like the biggest thing with developer or like games that come out these days. It's like you're like whatever happened to getting the full game?
Yeah,
And it's
I think
like, yeah.
that's an age that's gone now.
Yeah,
We don't
right?
live in that age anymore. The closest thing is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. You're definitely getting a full game there, and the developers are like, we started working on DLC, but then said, fuck it, we don't want to. So
Yeah.
you have the full
Great.
game. Enjoy the full game.
Yeah, here you go, right? Or like, or at least like free updates or
Yeah.
whatever like, which they and it's funny, like their one update, they're like, we made more kissing scenes, and everyone's like, yay!
Oh yeah, that's pretty much what they just
Yeah,
did.
they're like, we just added more sex scenes and kissing just for you guys, and they're
Yeah,
like, yes. Everyone's
yeah.
like,
The
"Ah."
thing people really want. Um,
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
there's
They know.
there's another controversial one here. I don't know if you've heard about this. Star Wars Battlefront. The
I was just watching Alana Pierce's video about
Yeah.
this and how it's been so disappointing. But
Hmm.
at the same time, I think I don't know. I haven't watched like the whole video and stuff. But
Hmm.
like I remember the Battlefront series was already like a disappointment. Like Battlefront,
People love
like
those games, those old
yeah,
games.
they do love them. But I remember when they first initially came out, it was like kind of a disappointment because oh, now I
In what
forget what
way?
it was. It's like it's kind of no way. It's like part of me is like, oh well, maybe like with EA, kind of
I don't think the EA debacle was like a thing back then.
no. I feel like it like I feel like wasn't number
You thought,
2
well,
about like where it was just disappointing or some shit like that, and you had
I
to
don't know.
like yeah, now I forget. I'd have to like look into
I
like
feel like
all
two is
like
the
back
popular
in
one,
the day.
Battlefront 2.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I feel like there was like a disappointment factor to it. But with
Okay.
this, when this game came out, apparently there was like 10,000 people that got the game and wanted to play it,
Yeah.
and they only had like 6 servers available, and you can only have like 96 people or something like that
Yep.
per server to like play against each other. So it's like there's not enough room. And
That's yeah. I feel like
and
this has got to be on EA's end, right? They like
yeah.
this must have been like an afterthought. Like we don't care about Well, I mean, they have been re-releasing
But
old
they
Star Wars games recently, but I feel
yeah.
like yeah, they're putting. I mean, people like these games sort of for multiplayer. I know a lot of people play them for single player because back then not a lot of people were playing games online or
Yeah.
multiplayer, right? So I get that they wanted to put that part in the game. I imagine EA is like nobody's gonna be playing this because they're like it's an old game. Who cares, right?
And then everyone fucking does it. They're
Yeah,
like, "Damn it. They proved
yeah.
us wrong yet again."
So
Uh yeah, it got like just as bad, almost as bad at reviews as Overwatch 2,
yeah.
apparently. Yeah.
Did Overwatch 2 get a lot better reviews when it came out? I guess
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're like, it's the same games.
It literally was, yeah.
Yeah.
There's Helldivers 2 has been getting great praise.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what
Rise of
I've
the
seen as
Ronin
well.
as well.
That one, yeah,
Um,
that one came out same day as Dragon's Dogma. Unicorn Overlord.
I was gonna bring
Apparently
that
a
one
really
up
great
next.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Switch. That was one I was going to Edge Guarantee because apparently it's
Mm,
similar to Fire Emblem.
okay, yeah.
And but again, I only liked Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Okay.
Again, I've tried to play the other ones. I just can't do it. And it's like with this one, again, my friend was playing it and he really liked it. And then he's like, "Oh
Hmm.
yeah, who should I marry?" And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. You can marry people in this game?" He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Sign me up." You know me, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Can I bang them? Can we
uh,
marry this
can we
person?"
marry them? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the last one I've heard really good things about. Like a
Like
Dragon Infinite
Dragon?
Wealth, which
Yeah.
apparently has sort of like an Animal Crossing esque aspect
Oh,
to it.
But
where
like
you're
in
on
like
an
oh, like
island and making like friends and with the people who live there,
they
and then
these guys make such great games for like what they are. It's so
yeah,
funny because it feels kind of like they're trolling us,
yeah.
but then everyone loves it anyway. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna play this game where you're gonna throw trash at each other," and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Fuck yeah!" Oh no, what happened to my webcam?
Bringing stuff up, which sometimes breaks
Oh,
it.
okay,
But of this, we got a list of notes here. What do you want to talk about? I'm gonna let you lead.
okay. Let's see.
Try to bring up
We can
videos.
start with like the layoffs because I think that's kind of like the
There's
really
been a lot
big.
of layoffs.
Yeah.
This year
I
is
like
gonna
how your
be
one bullet point is a lot more.
a lot. I can't keep track. That's the whole thing. Is like
It,
last year we saw a devastating amount of people laid off in the industry, and it
yep,
just
including myself.
escalated. Yep,
So,
including Corp.
yep,
And it just escalated and ramped up since then. Like it's still
yep,
ongoing, and it's just a steep incline of people who have lost their jobs, and
yep,
it's like so bad I can't keep track of it. There
yep,
are people at I think it's Kotaku, who are keeping track of the amount of layoffs like in every aspect of the industry, and
yep,
it's so depressing to look at. But
yep.
like the notable ones I wrote down there, um, Twitch, Xbox,
Which had layoffs.
PlayStation,
Yep.
Deviation Games, Supermassive, EA, Embracer Group, GameSpot, even
Yeah.
everybody's facing layoffs. So it's
Yeah, the one like the one thing that I've heard and I kind of agree and I kind of understand, but then I also don't think it's just that either because for me as a manager, when I used to be a manager, like it comes down to numbers and in order
yeah,
for
that's
companies to
part of
save money and
that's
stuff,
part of
the
the
first
issue is
people
the capitalism side of things,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And it's so bad right now. Like I think we've always talked about this and I'm just like it's so disappointing. And but it was when like the pandemic happened and then it's like they like a lot of companies ended up hiring too many people
Yeah, I think
because everyone started
this was
gaming, there was like there
foreseen. Like if you know,
yeah,
like
right?
the I like not just the gaming industry. I saw it in a lot of aspects. Like when the
Yeah,
pandemic was hitting and stuff was starting to start to shut down. I was already in my head going like, things are gonna get bad. Even
yeah,
just like if they were saying like the 2 weeks or whatever, I'm like, even for 2 weeks, things are gonna get bad. But I'm like, if this
yeah.
thing sticks, which it sounds like it might, and it's longer than the 2 weeks, I think we're being a little bit optimistic. Which I was right. I'm like, things are going to be so disruptive. But we saw from the start of it where people were staying home and needing to preoccupy themselves because this is such a dramatic um, shift in your way of life, right? What you're so
Yeah.
used to has just changed, and you're like, how do I mentally cope with this? People went to
Animal
entertainment.
Crossing.
Animal Crossing came out at that perfect time for people
The the
because
the day everything shut down, Animal
yep,
Crossing was like,
what do
"Welcome
we
to your
do? How do
island."
we interact with people? Animal Crossing
Yeah,
was a great gateway into that. But not
yeah,
just Animal Crossing, it was the entire gaming industry. People sunk time into games because that's how you were interacting with people and keeping yourself preoccupied.
yeah,
So there was a big boom in the in video game purchases
yeah.
and investments into gaming. And we saw the positive sides of that. I mean, we're still seeing that from last year. The games that we got, incredible.
Yeah.
But I've also thought I'm like, this is not going to last because things are going to change. And then the way I know people at
Capitalism.
the top how things work at the top, right? Oh, we made this much money during this extraordinary time in our history where things were different for a reason. Why aren't we doing the same thing when life got back to normal? Like, well, that's not how that works. And
Yeah,
then just people think, well, the only thing I understand though is money. So because it's not
yeah,
working, I'm gonna have to kill so many jobs, and just so I can
yeah.
still keep my bonus, you know. So
Exactly.
that's
And
the
like,
unfortunate thing that like you could foresee it coming, but it's like the extent of what we're seeing it is just so depressing.
yeah, I think the only company that's like knows how to allocate their fund. I think you might have posted it, but it's like Nintendo or whatever. When you look at
Mhm.
like Bobby Kotick and like the amount of money that he was making, and then versus like the Nintendo CEO, and it's like and like they just kind of know how to allocate. And that's like and my thing is like what do you do with that much money? And it's like
It-
because
it- yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I grew up poor. I like
Yeah.
like I just like I feel like
The
I would
billionaires don't need to exist. That's my
yeah,
stance. Yeah.
it's like there's no point, and it's like we could
No,
solve so many problems
you're hurting more
with this
people
money.
than like it's just my
Yeah,
thing always comes down to like what things are causing people pain and suffering, and then
yeah,
just the existence of billionaires is is a big cause for that. And yeah, in terms of like what do you do with that money, that depends on what sort of restrictions and regulations there are, because if there's
yeah,
nothing, then the the person who says, oh wait, I can just keep everything for myself, that's what I'll do then.
yeah,
So that's just the way things work. I know there's gonna be a lot of people with different opinions on political stuff and financial stuff. I
yeah,
get that. We are we're not aligned, and it's not an
yep,
attack on you. This is my political beliefs. But that said, yeah, Nintendo seems to, I think I was having this discussion with my brother. I think they're more traditional and have like run on more of a sense of like honor and respect kind of thing,
yeah.
because I think it was Iwata who like during the tumultuous time with the Wii U, when Nintendo was for the first time seeing a bad financial year, said, hey, I'm not going to have my bonus, I'm going to make sure my employees keep their job. Nobody does that. That's
Yeah.
that's that's a unicorn in the industry, and I think that's just because of the Japanese culture. Because I
Yeah.
can't I can't say like any other reason why that would be the case, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's just an outlier. Bobby Kotick, I'm happy to like never talk about him again, but it seems
Yeah.
like he's
Is
not
he
gonna go
gone
away.
yet?
He's out of Xbox, thank God. Um, like my thing was
You
he's
know what
going.
he should do? He should make a submarine and then go on it.
That
Don't
would
you
be
think?
great. That'd be great.
And
Um,
invite all of his best billionaire
that
buddies.
that Logitech controller was on sale last week. I don't know if it's still on sale. I'm like, I kind of want to buy it and be like, this is
Is
the
it the
Ocean
one?
Gate controller.
Yeah. Oh my God.
uh,
Yes.
but my thing was, because I know him and I know where he puts his investments and everything. I don't know him personally. I just know what the
No,
kind of asshole
you're
he
like
is,
friends.
right?
Yes.
um, I'm like, he's gonna dive headfirst and all in on politics. He's going
Oh
to
yeah.
he's gonna try to put all his money into the Republican Party and try to influence elections and start like a lobbyist firm and everything. I don't know. He's rich and he can affect things enough in the US where he can become richer, right?
Yeah.
Um no, his current thing is he wants to buy TikTok. Um
Oh
and I
my
think
God.
and I think
Please go.
if things are going the way that they are, he might get his way. If he
Oh my, with like the
th-
whole
there's
banning thing
there's
too
there's there's a
again.
path being paved for him to do so.
Oh
Um
God.
so,
That's another
let's
platform I
have
might have to stop using. No, don't take away my
yeah.
TikTok. I
Yeah,
already don't
we'll see
use
what happens.
Twitter anymore, so
Yeah. Um so yeah. Uh anyways, what were we talking about?
layoffs.
Layoffs. Um
Yeah. And then so you want to go into the IN or IGN one where it's like after they voted to like
recently
unionize and what had
recently
happened.
IGN voted to unionize. I'm gonna
And they're like, you're fired.
well, we're getting a little bit ahead here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um yeah, they saw everything that was happening in the industry. Um and Rebecca Valentine's the one to follow for updates on all this stuff, because he's very active on Blue Sky if you want somebody to follow on Blue Sky in the
Oh.
industry. Um, So, IGN saw what was happening in the industry, and they're like, you know what? Things at IGN right now are going really great. And from what we've been talking about, and people in the industry trying to unionize, is that you want to start the unionization process when things are going good. So they're like, okay, so let's do this. Here's what we want. Here's what we like want from the leadership and everything in the company. And to IGN's credit, they voluntarily acknowledged the union. So things are looking great. Soon after, IGN fired 3 people who were part of the industry. Um, and IGN stating that this was in the plan before they joined to unionize. The
Mm.
union's disagreeing and saying these are crucial people in the company. I know one of them I follow for um like a lot of stuff. Like he's very into comic books and stuff like that too. So anytime they have like a news thing about comic books and stuff or video games or movies or TV that's relating to it, he's always the voice that's on the screen for that. Um so these seem like key people who have been there for a long time, who have built up the company and a lot of the standards and everything that they do. Like they're responsible for a lot of that stuff. Um, and so the guild is saying that these layoffs were planned, or like they
Already
were
in the works
they
before
weren't
it.
all weighted in works. They were what's the term? I'll find the quote. Yeah, this decision was made despite the fact that the company is in no economic distress and without consulting the union. This decision shocked us, and given the fact that the company voluntarily recognized our guild, the company is claiming that these decisions were made prior to our recognition, failing to approach us prior to the layoff, so they didn't even approach them, and
Well,
instead only choosing to bargain over the effects of said layoffs is a massive breach of trust between the union employees and management. I know that there's more to this, so let's see here.
yeah.
We insist that IGN management bargain with us as a whole to begin to rebuild trust between the company and the guild. We are also demanding that IGN management do the right thing and give our impacted teammates in the consideration or at very least severance that they deserve. We're asking everybody else to do the same. Um, I know that there's specifically um a like I'm trying to see where they said it. I okay, so I know like they were I think the term is targeted. Like these were employees that were targeted that they're saying. Um and the reason why they're saying that is because not only were these like key people in IGN, but that IGN was hiring for multiple positions that these people could have transitioned to, and they didn't even want to consider that as a possibility for these workers. They just want to be like, nope, out the door, no severance, get out of here.
Yeah.
So for that reason, yeah, I don't think IGN is being like that. The people in charge, like the higher ups, are being truthful.
Honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they're being honest.
Yeah. Hmm. Sussy baka.
Yeah. So, I hope things work out for those affected,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they're going to end up doing great things. And I know that, yeah, I know that the IGN Creators Guild filed what did they file? Um, like an unfair workplace thing in the U.S. I don't remember what it's
Yeah.
called, but they filed that against IGN. So
Oh, good. Yeah.
hopefully there's accountability.
Yeah. And then we
Uh,
got Ubisoft.
where do we start with Ubisoft?
I
Ubisoft is
don't
like
know.
the new Activision for me.
Oh God.
We handled Activision. Let's target Ubisoft next because
Yeah.
they need to change. um, First of all, the thing that's like really disturbing to me is the first link there that I have that first statement. Um, just this headline
Oh
alone.
yes.
Ubisoft exec says gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games for subscriptions to take off. Just everything about that I hate.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a part like this is again why I'm like buy physical copies
Yeah.
because then they what are they going to do? Come to your house and take away your game? Yeah. Be
Yeah.
like, "All
I
right,
mean, that's
give us the game." You're like, "No."
I mean, that's what they can do. Like, it's like they can still, like, in order for the physical thing to play, it needs to like have an online sort of check-in, and then they can just say,
Yeah. Oh,
no, no,
excuse
no,
me.
no, we're delisting this game. Even if you have the physical copy, you can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
Ubisoft's been doing like shady practices like this to force people into paying a subscription. Which, first of all, I've been looking at like all like the subscription services, and
Mhm.
I don't see any sort of, and I talk about the Ubisoft Plus games for videos and
Your free
stuff.
games.
Yeah. Um this seems like the worst subscription service ever. Like I don't
Yeah.
see any benefit to it. The like you are getting a lot of Ubisoft's catalog of games. The subscription is expensive compared to all the other ones, and there's like
Interesting.
limited. I mean, the platforms you can play them on are expanding. You can play them on Luna, on PlayStation, Xbox, but I don't think the entire library of games. Obviously, the big one is PC,
Yeah.
but
They're like, you can
it's
play all the Assassin's Creed
it's
games because that's the only game that we got going for us.
but yeah, not only that, like so yeah, it's a lot of old games, but it's a slow drip feed of new games. Like at
Yeah.
first I was like, oh, EA Play doesn't seem like that great of a service, but at least EA Play somewhat
Like,
adds like one game a month or so, right? Like Ubisoft
yeah.
Plus, like for how often they include games, what are you paying for? Because
Yeah.
it's just like an astronomical amount, and you're getting nothing out of it. So I don't understand. And they're going hard on this push for subscriptions, and like to the point where they want you to keep signing in, even if you're not paying for the subscription. You bought the game. I own a lot of games on Ubisoft Connect, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Not anymore.
they wanted to make it so that like I remember last year they were emailing people saying like, "Hey, you haven't signed in so long. You need to sign in by this date, otherwise you lose all your games."
What?
Yeah, that's absurd. Like I would be pissed. I'm like, I bought all these
Yeah.
games, and the like you didn't shut down the service. They're still there. Like I still have my account. You
Yeah.
obviously see in my transaction history I own this game. Why can't I play this game? Like
They're like,
that's
well, you didn't log in
bullshit.
enough, so we're gonna just
Yeah.
take it. You lose your privilege.
So them saying this, like that gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games, especially at a time where like the 3DS and Wii U eShop shut down, PlayStation shut down the PSP store, and they were going to be shutting down the PS3 and Vita before people complained.
Yeah.
Um, the Xbox store is getting like the Xbox 360 and original Xbox library is going to be delisting soon. Not all the games, just the ones that not are not backwards compatible. Just like this ever growing change of, oh, these games are just going to be lost forever.
Yeah.
Like I used to be like, oh, I'm all in on digital, it's just way more convenient, give me everything on one device, it's just
Yeah.
great. But now like this big change that we've been saying these past couple years, it's like, no, I'm somehow shifting back more towards physical stuff, and it and actually
Yeah.
owning my games. And then this person coming here and saying like, you're not going to own your games, I'm like, well, that's not making me want to go to your service then.
Yes. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's like I found it interesting when I would get customers in and they refused to get like anything that required an internet connection.
Yeah.
And like obviously they were older, so I'm like you're
Sure. Yeah.
from like, the physical day and age and
Hmm.
stuff. But it's like at least then that way if you don't have an internet connection, there's no way for people to take away your games.
Yeah,
Because
but
like
it's like the games being made
yeah.
nowadays,
Yeah,
more
like
and more
like
so from
right? So our
big publishers
future
like Ubisoft. Like they're
yeah.
not making those kind of games anymore. They're
Right?
making,
So
what
it's
was
like
their
with this gen,
yeah.
like we're gonna lose all these games even if we have them physical or not.
Yeah. So
right?
like in
So it's
Ubisoft's
like,
case, we're making Hyperscape. We're making or whatever other failed thing that they tried to do.
yeah, it it's like,
Is the Foam Legends make? No, that's Square Enix. The Foam Stars.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh geez.
Or like that the NF the wasn't it NFT or no the AI game multiplayer game where everything's destructible. Um that game.
Palworld. I'm just kidding.
No, no. The arena shooter game. I can't remember what it's called. I played it once. Um,
I
like those
forget.
kind of games are the games that are being made now from these big
Yeah.
publishers. They're not making the physical stuff that you can play offline anymore. So,
Right? Just stupid. Yeah, I feel like it forces you to constantly update your console, like constantly forces you to buy
mhm,
their stuff even though you're not owning it.
yeah,
It's kind of it's like it's like monopolizing it. Like it's controlling you to spend money so that they can continue making more and more money.
yeah,
And it's stupid. Bullshit.
I agree. What was the other thing
Yeah.
Ubisoft's doing?
The French workers on strike.
Oh no, there's something else.
Oh,
That's also I think equally as egregious as
oh
this.
God.
Um,
Oh yeah, the
Ubisoft
Skull and Bones.
Ubisoft CEO defends Skull and Bones, a game. May I say that I think has got like mediocre reviews and
They're like, it's
feedback.
not that
It's like,
great.
yeah, it's a game that took us whatever, like 13 years or whatever it was, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Like how much time and money was spent wasted on this game.
right?
Yeah,
Well, that's probably like, ugh, it's just God.
yeah,
$70 price tag. It's like,
yeah.
well,
The game was
again, it's
seventy
like the Peach
dollars.
game.
Yeah,
It's like the Peach game. Like it took me 10 hours to beat that, and that was like an
sure,
$80 game.
right.
So it's like,
I think the price of
but it,
games, like new release games, is going to go up. I think that
yeah,
was expected at this point. But
right.
Skull and Bones, again,
Took
mediocre
so long to
game,
make.
took
Yeah.
took forever to make, releasing at $70. The Ubisoft CEO defended that, saying, "No, no, 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 it's worth that price because it's a quadruple A game."
Oh
The
my
fuck is a
God. And then
quadruple A game?
what the fuck? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, no. How? What
Just
is there
make shit up saying
gameplay?
like no, 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 this is a super game. This is game deluxe. You won't play another game like this. This is the premium top tier echelon of games. You That's why it's $70.
Yeah, it doesn't.
This
It's like, no, it's
this is the
not.
platinum tier level of games.
Right? I mean, yeah, it doesn't. No. I feel like it's like another regular AAA title game.
It's not I don't even think it's a triple game. I think it's just a shitty game that people think is okay. Like it's trying to benefit off of the things that people liked about Assassin's Creed 4
Oh,
from
because it
from
had
back
the,
then. Yeah, because it
yeah.
introduced the ship stuff, and people are like, this is so different. Assassin's Creed's back because we got bored of the other one, so now they changed up the gameplay. And Ubisoft's like, let's just make a ship game. People love ships.
People love pirates and ships.
Yeah, and
Yeehaw.
then Sea of Thieves came out first, and then people are playing that instead.
Right?
Yeah, Ubisoft workers are on strike. Um,
Good.
That's
Because
sure,
it's
except
bullshit.
cookies. Almost 700 workers joined the picket line following failed annual negotiations on wages. Union STJV says. Oh, there's updates. Last update was February
Ooh,
16th. 700 Ubisoft workers joined the picket line earlier this week to demand better wages. I don't know where this left off, to be honest. Um,
yeah.
the French cities of Paris. I'm gonna butcher French places, even though.
Tout de la fruit.
Yep, there you
C'est la vous.
go.
Or c'est la vous. I don't know if you had seen that.
So I don't know if they're still on strike or not.
Oh. Well, I hope they got their bigger wages and stuff.
The union also pointed out Ubisoft's H1 FY24 financial report, during which CEO Yves Guillemot said results were well above expectations. Isn't that always how it works?
Oh,
Um,
croissant.
yeah, I think changes need to be made at a top level for Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Um, and hopefully, again, this is the company that also forced return to office,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and also face workplace harassment allegations, just like Activision Blizzard. Um,
Yes.
so this is this is a company that has a lot to learn, but not the like the workers in the company, the people up top,
Yeah.
and so that needs to
Yeah.
change.
There's such a disconnect. It's just
Yeah.
infuriating. Like if you're like my thing is like if you're forcing your workers back to work and you're like such a big company like that, like make it worthwhile, you know?
Yeah.
Like I know like well EA is still like hybrid and stuff, so like you can go in all the time if you want, but they're like they have a
It's not.
decent culture there,
Yeah.
which is nice. And then like you have access to like classes. There's a gym that's there. You can take free
Right.
like you could
I,
do all these like things.
I don't even think like it's necessarily.
You get free snacks.
Yeah, but it's not about that
Sign
for
me up.
everyone. Everybody's situation is
Yeah.
different. There's people who have applied to jobs like that because of the benefits of the work from home, where it's
Yes.
just they um like it's easier for them in their work life and their lifestyle and their home life to work from home. And if you're going to add the commute, the additional expenses, the honestly the worse working conditions in some cases,
Yep.
it's not something that these people signed up for. They signed up for, hey, this is what I need. I need a work from home situation, and now you're forcing me not to do that. No matter if you put in a gym, you put in snacks or whatever, that's not going to help my situation. So now
Yeah.
I'm
It's
being
like, are you gonna
forced
pay for
to,
transit? Like,
yeah, am I going to be forced to upend my life and like change so many things, or like I even have to like move in some cases, or am I going to be forced to quit because or be fired because that's honestly why a lot of companies do this. They want to downsize the workforce, but they don't want to go through layoffs, so they force these conditions to get people to quit,
yeah.
which is also a shitty thing to do. But
Yeah.
speaking of, Rockstar is doing that same thing right now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't have a link for that, but um, yeah, they dropped the trailer for GTA 6, which I think we have talked about in a past
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah. We reacted to it and stuff, and then
Game looks sick. um,
ban it. It's all about killing cops. Blah.
do you remember what
Clearly, never
happened
played a
when?
GTA.
Do you remember what happened before the trailer dropped?
Got leaked,
Yeah.
and then
You know
people
what
were
Rockstar
going on to
doesn't
random
want to
ass.
happen? They don't want another leak. So that's their
Oh.
excuse to do return to office, which I kind of get because GTA is a
Yeah.
massive game, which recently an analyst said it's the biggest game, like the most important game release ever in the industry because it's going to uh bring back the industry. Like he's like this is going to revitalize the gaming industry
Yeah.
is the release of GTA 6, which sounds a bit hyperbolic.
Yeah.
But I kind of get it cuz GTA
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. Exactly. Like it hasn't. Like how long has it been? Like what?
Mhm.
12 years? 10 years?
Since the Xbox 360 and PS3.
Yeah.
Um
Crazy.
I kind of get that argument. Hey, we don't want
Yeah, like
more
I feel like
leaks.
yeah, I know I like there was precautions and stuff when it came to like when I was working from
Mhm.
home and like to work for like, a big company like EA and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like there was, and I remember I had a conversation with my friend where they're like, "Don't click on links." And I'm like, a boomer. I'm not stupid. And then in my work email, there was a link, and I was like, oh, what's this? Like, I just clicked it, and then I was on a this not like this forum or thread or whatever, and everyone was like, hey, what's this link? And they're like, well, I didn't click it, and I was like, oh no. But then it wasn't a virus, but I was like, I just did the stupidest fucking thing. But I
Right.
didn't think twice because it's my work email. I'm like, who has my work email aside from people that I work with or like the company? And then yeah, it was very fun. I was like, so it breaches can happen. Breaches can happen. And I think that was one of the first things that happened when people started doing work from home, is that there was a breach of privacy where people were able to kind of, like, there were leaks and like of information and stuff like that. So it's possible. So I can see where they want it so tight-lipped, where it's like if you go into the office, like maybe they'll be like, leave your phone at the security, like
Yeah.
you're not allowed to do this. Like it's
Right.
like a full-blown like operation of secrets.
I didn't have a link prepared. I just know that employees, though, like the response to this, I think this is what I think is more important. The employees have built up the game to the point of that trailer. They've been doing fine so far.
Yeah.
Um, they've been working from home. Now that they're being returned to office, forced to return to office, the employees are pissed from what I've been
Yeah.
reading. And they're saying that the work as a result of it has gone down. Um,
Yeah.
so like if you're doing a return to office to try to get the release on schedule and without leaks, and the result is this negative effect where it's backfiring, maybe wasn't a good decision. Whether or not the leak situation was the right intention or not. I think this kind of backfired. This is the
Yeah.
quick. I can't find the articles I was reading before, but this is the quickest thing I was able to find. GTA devs fear toxic Rockstar return to office mandate. This is at tech.co, which I've never heard of before. Video game publisher Rockstar Games recently announced the end of its hybrid work policy, citing productivity and security as reasons why it's enforcing employees back into the office 5 days a week. Now employees are pushing back. According to the Independent Workers Union of Great Britain, which has some Rockstar employees as members, the news is just the latest broken promise from the gaming company. Rockstar previously told its workers that it would not call for a 5 days a week policy. Um, let's scroll down. So this is
Okay.
their statement. The workers
So when they
in
say like, oh no, we're not going to do that, but then
Yeah,
suddenly they're like, no, we're all forcing you back. That's
exactly.
like you
Yeah.
you just said.
And the Rockstar's not the only one. Like everybody's doing this in the industry. They're going back on their word. The workers in the IWGB Game Workers Union at Rockstar are pushing for transparency over pay and promotions, a healthy and inclusive workplace culture, and work-life balance centered around what each worker needs. It's unacceptable that Rockstar leadership have gone back on their word and time again and have ignored the workers' request for basic working conditions. And Kelmore added that workers are done with letting executives make reckless and harmful decisions, and that there is no better time than now to join our union and push for this to be the healthy and sustainable games industry we know it can be. So yeah,
Mm.
same old bullshit.
Same old bullshit.
But I'm expecting
Archer,
I'm expecting GTA to be delayed because of this. Like specifically
probably.
because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um.
yeah.
Yeah. What else we got?
Shit, man. Pokemon versus Palworld.
Have you been keeping up with that?
No.
Um.
I stopped playing Palworld. I
You got
redid
bored of
it.
it?
It's not fun when you play by yourself.
I
I like
imagine
playing with you
so.
guys. It
Yeah.
was way more fun when you and I were playing it and you were on fire and I was like, "Stop drum roll! Stop drum!" You're like, "It's not working." And then
The
just like the mayhem that ensued with us, and
Yeah.
and it was nice that we could go off on our own and do things, and then shit would happen and we'd be like, "Oh my God," and
It's
then
it's very much Minecraft to me.
yeah, and
Granted, it's
Minecraft, it's
much more
like
fun than Minecraft, but
yeah, it's like in the building of it's like pretty cool,
hmm
but yeah, it's mundane, and kind of slow to progress as well. Like for me to
Yeah,
even like level up and stuff like that. Like it was fun at first, and then now it's kind of like really grindy, and then I was just kind of
sure.
over it.
I'm sure they'll
So
put more because reportedly they're making more money than they know what to do with right now.
yeah, but
So
okay,
I'm sure
so
they'll put more into the game at some point.
yeah, right? Well, they better. It's like it's finally their
Yeah.
game,
Like
right?
when
Because
you have
apparently this,
when you have the CEO saying like we're making too much money. Like
yeah,
we
we'll
can't
give it to.
handle it.
He's like, you know what we should do? Put it into AI.
Yeah.
Just piss off everyone. Like for fuck's sake.
So since the
I
game was
mean,
released and I don't really sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, apparently this company's kind of known for like just kind of copying
Hmm.
ideas, like
Yeah.
with their games, and then just waiting for one to take off, and now they have it with Palworld. So I'm kind of
That's
like, if I'm like so on the company,
sure.
but at the same time, I'm still trying to be like open minded about it, and like,
That's what I was going to get into is that since this game was released, which I don't think we had a proper discussion about this.
yeah,
There have been accusations about Pocket Pair, I believe is the developer,
okay.
them stealing assets from the Pokemon company and other things as well. There's a
How
lot of
would they
Zelda
steal?
inspiration in the game too.
Yeah, yeah,
Just like the designs of the Pokemon and things like that. And there's the accusation that they were using AI to generate new creatures, which I don't think has any sort of substance to it. There's nothing that substantiates that claim.
yeah,
There's no source or evidence at all. That said, not going to put it out of the question because AI is such a massive um it's such a massive part of everything right now. So I wouldn't put it out of the question.
yeah.
But it's just an accusation at that point. That said, when a lot of people have been comparing the creatures in Palworld to Pokemon that exists from the Pokemon Company, and there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Um, and I really don't have an
I s-
example list come up, but
yeah, I still feel like it's fair use anyway. Like it's like at this point, like there's so many Pokemon, like how can you not make a creature that doesn't look like
very
a
similar. I
Pokemon?
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Like,
Yeah.
and to be honest, the Pokemon are like every Pokemon is based off of something,
Yeah.
right?
It's
And
like so they copied. Like
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
and then Digimon and then,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
there's like so much other shit. Like even Temtem,
Temtem, yeah.
like how can you
Mm-hmm.
make like every creature that you fabricate is a
Yeah.
monster, a
But
mon.
even for that, like a big example is that one pal that looks like Lucario because they got like the similar
Yes.
face and everything. Um, my argument to that is Lucario and that pal from the game are based off of Anubis, like the god Anubis,
Yeah.
who
So it's like
has
how
the
can
same kind
you
of face. So it's like
yeah.
they're based off of that. Like one's not based off of Lucario, both of them are based off of Anubis, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you can't like so even Pokemon isn't like an original
Yeah.
like idea basically because it's
Hmm.
based off like Trubbish is based off a trash bag.
It's a trash bag. Yeah.
Like I'm surprised what a brand of trash isn't suing
Yeah.
Pokemon for
The
stealing their bags.
the penguin
Like
that people are like, yeah, that's Piplup. I'm like, it's different
it's a
enough.
penguin.
It's a penguin that's like water based. It's like there's only so much you can do to not make it look like Piplup, right? Like,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
but there are ones that do seem really egregious to me. So I can concede like, yeah, there's some that's like, all right, obviously this is where the inspiration came from. Like the one that looks like the Luxray Pokemon. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it's just like a cat with like black spikes and looks like
Yes.
yeah. So like there are examples of
I know what
that.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there are examples of that where it's like, okay, well that's clearly like
Like they didn't
that's
get really
crossing the
creative off
line.
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crossing the line. So I think Nintendo or the Pokemon Company took notice of specifically those types of situations. Enough to where they issued a statement because people have, for some reason, have been trying to get the Pokemon Company's stance on this. So they
Yeah.
did end up replying, inquiries regarding other companies' games.
They
We
don't even have they're
no,
like, we're not even giving the audacity to
yeah,
even say this other. That's such a big corp move. Like,
yeah,
oh, the other companies, not to
yeah.
name any names, we have no breath to even mutter this other name.
They said we have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January 2024.
Or
Again,
roughly around that
could
time.
be could be anything.
Could be
We
anything. We don't really,
yeah.
but what?
We have not granted any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon and its world and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future. I love that statement.
Yeah.
um,
Pokemon Nights.
Pokemon Company has been, and Nintendo in general,
Yeah.
have been a little aggressive lately.
Yeah, because
Taking
that's like
down
you were saying
Yuzu,
how.
taking down a
Yeah.
Pokemon fan site that was just talking about fan project games. We weren't even like
Yeah.
hosting them. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna talk about them. Nope, they shut that down after like they've been operating for like 12 years.
Yep.
Um, and they also took down somebody's 9-year-old video of mods in a Call of Duty game, like featuring Pokemon. Like
Oh
they
my
issued
god.
them a
You mean
YouTube strike.
Palworld? No.
No. So,
Same thing.
um, so yeah, I'm not saying that like
They have any
I,
merit, but it's like now that they've kind of been,
they might
it's like
take
I feel like,
action.
yeah, but it's like, how about instead of wasting money on that, make a fucking better game?
I think they might be I can't say for certain the next Pokemon game is going to be this, but I think
No.
just Palworld's release is going to have them at least look at what they're doing with their game
And then
because
they're gonna sit there and copy Palworld and be like,
I don't think so. But I think they're going
takes
to
one to know one. Like,
I think they might change how they work on Pokemon games and how quickly they produce them and what kind of effort and development time and like changes that they'll make into the Pokemon series. I don't
yeah.
think Pokemon Legends Z to A is going to be that, but I'm assuming the next Pokemon game after
Yeah,
that is going to be like a drastic change for Pokemon.
good. Good.
I will
They need to
say
do something different.
if Pokemon Company does go after Pocket Pair, they're both Japanese companies, so it's not even going to be an international issue. It's going to be like a local Japanese court
Yeah.
situation, which will be interesting.
Yeah. I
So
wonder if they'll live stream it. We'll watch.
I doubt it, but
Right?
there'll probably be summaries of what's going on in the court cases for sure.
Yeah.
What do you
Crazy.
want to do next?
Um, what else? I guess
Anime
like,
stuff.
oh, I guess like we could finish with the three platforms because
You
I
want to
gotta eat
finish?
soon.
Okay.
Yeah, because I gotta
Um,
eat soon. I'm
I
getting
really want
hungry.
to talk about the Warner Bros. Thing, but that's cool.
Okay.
I
Well,
honestly,
let's talk.
I
Well,
don't.
let's talk about that then. Let's say if you want to talk about that,
Yeah,
let's
well,
talk.
I don't
Let's
think the
do
three
that then.
platforms thing is going to be long. There's there's the rumor of the Switch 2, which when we last did the podcast, it was expected this year. Seems like based off rumors, things are going to be delayed, and Nintendo's now
Mm.
expecting an early 2025 release for the Switch, which I'm guessing means around March, which lines up with when the last Switch was released, was around
Yeah.
March. So they're gonna miss the holiday season, but that's also a chance for them to clear out inventory on whatever Switch models they still have. Slap the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle and sell
Yeah.
whatever stock they
Oh,
have, and then
please
get the
stop selling that godforsaken bundle.
and then
Oh
release the
my
Switch
god.
2 with like another big major game. They're probably delaying it honestly because probably not because of production costs, but although it could be wrong, but it's probably because key games that they have planned around the launch of the next hardware probably need more time in the oven. Maybe, let's say, a Metroid Prime 4, for example. Or you never
Yes.
know, another, maybe Pokemon Legends Z to A, because that's going to be 2025. Maybe
Yes.
people are expecting a new Mario Kart, or a new Mario 3D game.
But they're
So who
going to add a
knows?
camera to the new Switch.
A camera?
It's been a
That would
while
be
since they've
interesting
added
because
cameras.
they, yeah,
Yeah.
they've had 3DS had the cameras and the AR technology,
Yeah.
so it's not out of the question. Um,
Right.
there's also rumors of a PlayStation 5 Pro going to be released probably around the holiday season.
Yeah.
Which I just read a thing saying like developers are questioning why that's even necessary because they haven't utilized the full power of the PS5 yet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
PlayStation's just trying to
Sorry. I
sell
was
more
just like,
hardware.
yeah.
Um,
It's like, I mean, how many years has it been? But it's like it's already
but
4K
it
because I
came
remember
out
when the PS4 Pro came out, they were like
it
4K.
came out
What?
during a
Like,
pandemic and a supply chain shortage, right? So
yeah.
it's like nobody could get their
Good
hands on the
times.
PS5. People are just now getting their hands on the PS5. They released a slimline model of it. Like they just released a slimline model of it. Is it really time for PS5 Pro? Like people
Right?
just bought this thing. Um Similarly, Xbox last year during the court cases, it was leaked that they were doing like concept of new hardware, like an all digital Xbox Series X, and like some other things that they were contemplating. Now the most recent podcast that they did, where they were trying to address like the games going multi-platform.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Bond mentioned that they were working on hardware that's like the next big, like the biggest generational leap, I think is what she said. So there's already like an Xbox successor or Xbox Pro or whatever you want to call it in the works. That's going to be like a
Yeah.
big spec upgrade. And I think the other day, Phil Spencer was talking in an interview about how he likes his devices like the ROG Ally, like the handheld, the Lenovo Legion Go, which is kind of like a Switch, like a PC version of a Switch, and how he keeps thinking about how what he would change to make it feel more like an Xbox. So
Mm.
there might be a possible Xbox handheld in the works or in development, or at least being researched.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, I just brought all that up because it seems like every single console manufacturer is might be releasing new hardware by the end of this year or next year.
Part of me is like, it's too soon, man. It's
I
too
know,
soon.
but it is interesting.
Yeah. All right. What's this Warner Brothers thing that you want to talk about?
Have you played a game called Hogwarts Legacy?
Yes. I'm actively playing it.
You're actively
It's a
playing it. Is it a
pretty
good game?
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when it comes to games that are based off of like movies or books and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's always a hit or miss.
Yeah.
But I feel like they do it right. And I think Attack on Titan would be a really good example of this, where it's like when you're able to make your own character to then live in like this world. And then the fact that they like made a whole other story that still is like aligned with, that like that world's like, the whole Harry Potter world and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to like go to Hogwarts and you get to like go to class and you get to like do things. And then the story is like really interesting too. So it's a lot of fun. It's open world, and like I
Mm-hmm.
keep forgetting that I could just get on my broom and fly somewhere. I'm like, oh my god, I have to like travel so far. I'm like, oh wait, let me just get my broom, and then you're like
Yeah.
flying around and shit. So it's like it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit like where I just want to do the main story stuff
Yeah.
because I'm very much like a big main story person,
Sure.
and the side quests are okay. Like there was one where like this little kid was like trapped,
Mm-hmm.
like like in like a poacher's camp or whatever. And we were
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is happening here? And like they were like thinking about killing the kid, and I was like, wow, this took a
Wow.
real dark turn. And then even like learning like the killing curses or like just like the forbidden
Avada
curses.
Kedavra.
Oh, wait, wait. I got my wand.
Got it.
Ah, Monoganova. Yeah, like so far we've had to use them on each other to do these certain trials. And
Yeah.
I'm like, if I have to use the curse, like the killing curse on someone, I'm like, this game got really fucking dark. I don't know yet. I haven't gotten there.
Sure.
But so far, like you have to do all like side quests and learn all these things first before you can continue doing like certain main quests,
Mm-hmm.
which part of me is like, no, let me do them. But again, it's getting you to like learn all the spells, and there's like so much stuff, and
Yeah.
so it's been great. Like, I've
Great.
really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Would you? So it's a great game. You would recommend it.
Yeah. If you
If
liked Harry Potter, you'd
yeah,
love Hogwarts Legacy. So
if they made another game like that, you would probably buy it.
probably,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Have you heard of a game called Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've heard about
Have you
that
played
one.
about that? Have you played that game?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Have you?
No.
Do you have any interest in that game?
No interest
What if I
whatsoever.
told you the Warner Brothers game that you love, the Hogwarts Legacy game that you love, what if the next game was just a Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, but Harry Potter?
But Harry Potter? Oh God. Please don't.
Well, that's what Warner Brothers wants to do apparently. So,
No!
Warner Brothers discusses volatile AAA console games will lean into free to play and mobile. This is like the
Oh no.
biggest face palm. Uh, the
It's
company
like,
envisions a future Harry Potter game where you can live and work and build and play in that world on an ongoing basis. During a recent Morgan Stanley speaking event, Warner Brothers Discovery Gaming boss JP Perrett discussed some of the company's strategy for gaming going forward, and it includes more live service, mobile, and free to play games. He said, "We're doubling down on games as an area where we think there is a lot more growth opportunity and that can tap into the IP that we have and some of the capabilities we have on that studio where we're uniquely positioned as both a publisher and a developer of games." Um, okay, so he said the recent gaming output has focused on AAA games for console, and that's great when a game like Hogwarts Legacy sells 22 million copies and becomes the best-selling game of the year.
mhm.
But this kind of success is never guaranteed. Hmm. Okay. Sounds like
Like,
sounds like it was a major success there. Uh,
yeah.
and said he said it's a
We're so
vault.
surprised.
Yeah,
Like, what?
he said it's a volatile market. He pointed out that one of Warner Brother Discovery's latest big games, Suicide Squad that Killed the Justice League, was a disappointment for that company. So they're
No
taking
shit.
what was a disappointment and then what was a success and doubling down on the
Like, what if
disappointment. What if the
we put them
disappointment?
together?
Oh my God.
Then you get a positive.
So the
No.
plan going forward, he said, is to help reduce volatility, what that means, by focusing on core franchises and bringing at least some of them to the mobile and free-to-play space, as well as continuing to invest in live service games that people play and spend money on over a long period of time. But they're not. They're not. They said no to that game. Like you said, it
Yeah.
was a disappointment. Know what they're
Yeah.
spending money on? The thing that you don't want to invest in. Like how
People
how
are
is this
losing their jobs.
how is this guy in charge of the fucking company?
He's clearly not a gamer.
Ugh. No, he's
It's
just
like,
saying like oh what's a subscription thing that people can throw money on, right? Like
yeah,
that's gonna end up being a success for us in the long run, right? No,
no.
it's not because they're not spending money on that. It's a
Yeah, the
failure.
reason why Hogwarts was a success was because Harry Potter's already such a huge name too,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
people always wanted a really good Harry Potter game, and they finally got this one. So yeah, it's a success. But
Yeah,
then Suicide Squad is like, I would say, like not as popular. And like again, Marvel Universe is like a huge diverse like thing too.
yeah.
And then they made it into like this like fighting thing, and it's just like, what?
What has me like concerned, like, so he has like the statement that, like, yeah, we want to take what worked with Harry Potter and then and then force what didn't work with Suicide Squad, and then turn the thing that worked into the thing that didn't work, and that's going to work. Like that makes no sense. But then also he's labeling like all these other properties that they have, like Mortal Kombat. Can you imagine a live service Mortal Kombat game? How the fuck would that work? Like
What do you mean a
no,
live service? What do you mean,
like
like an MMO style?
I don't know. I don't know because it doesn't make sense. Like what are
Yeah.
you gonna do to Mortal Kombat? Like I'm just imagining a situation. It's like you're you're paying into a game, and it's like, hey, you can play one character for the week, and then it's like a rotating thing that you have to like continuously like subscribe
Yeah.
for or something. Like how the fuck do you how do you live service a
No.
fighting game? How does that work?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
What? They should just make Harry Potter MMO.
Which they're doing. They're doing like
God.
I think the Warner Brothers fighting game that they have that they're re-releasing, or like they did like the beta that nobody knew was a beta, and now they're releasing the game again. It's like Smash Bros. I can't remember what it's called. It's Warner Brothers answer to Smash Bros. Right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I forget now.
so I think that was so that one's free to play, and you're like purchasing different characters and
Not
stuff. But
Nickelodeon Stars or something?
it's
No.
not Nickelodeon because that's not Warner Brothers. It's the one with the Batman, Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
So that one. Um, I can imagine that's their test water of how to turn a fighting game into a live service, and then whatever they think
Multiverse.
works. Multiverse,
Multiverses?
yeah, multiverses, yeah. Um, so like trying to think like, okay, how do we get this to work in this game, and then let's do that for Mortal Kombat, because like I I I don't get it. I just don't get his thought process. It's like, "Oh, let's there's a thing that clearly worked for us and it was a huge success, and there's a thing that clearly failed for us, so we obviously have to double down on the failure." Like
Yeah.
how
But
we're
we gotta focus on the failure and
yeah,
make it a not failure.
it's
Like
so
what?
infuriating that these
Yeah.
are the idiots in charge of the biggest parts of the gaming industry.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
the fuck is wrong with you?
Face
And
palm.
it's not just him. Like it's the other big publishers that have the same sort of mindset. So like Embracer Group and like that this kind of backfired on them too. And
Yeah.
Activision,
But it's like
EA,
look at what happened. It backfired. Why
Ubisoft.
are you still
Yeah.
doing this? Doesn't make any sense. I don't
And
know. People are stupid.
yeah. My thought process lately is like, remember back in the day EA is I think people still consider it, but EA was dubbed like the worst company ever. Like
Yeah. Mhm.
especially in the
Mhm.
gaming space. I don't think that's like the same sort of image
But
that's
at
conveyed
least they
now,
were
but
smart because they're like, "Oh, this is working for us, so we're gonna
sure.
continue doing this." So at
They
least on that
yeah,
thing,
with
they're like,
the
"Well,
sports games and stuff, they double
yeah,
down on that for sure. Um
yeah,
but they've also done the live service stuff too, because they're trying to capitalize on that.
yeah,
I think they've done more of a push recently towards, like EA originals and stuff, where it's like it's more um more of like the AAA story based stuff. But
yeah,
there's obviously an aspect for both on that company. But I don't think they have the same sort of um vision, like, or image that they did back then. I'm just thinking like now it's like all these like big publishers are looking at like, oh, EA's not the worst anymore. Who can be the worst? And they're like,
it's a
Embrace the
competition."
Group, Ubisoft, and like Activision are all like, hold my beer.
And like,
there's
"Wait,
like
wait,
in a
hold my
competition to
beer."
be like the worst companies ever.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
But
just frustrating. I hate it.
yep,
I hate it
yep.
here sometimes.
I know. You're just like, "Why? Why are these things happening? Just stop
uh,
it."
yeah. Anything you want to end on, or
Uh,
just quit it
no,
there?
I'm hungry. I'm
Okay.
like ready for food.
One thing I want to ask you is, I can't even remember now. I think it was something to do with Baldur's Gate. We streamed Baldur's Gate together.
Yes.
Um, we're doing it in a different day this week. So we'll probably figure that out.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
we could
yeah,
pick the day because it's not this weekend.
yeah. But if you can catch us on our individual streams and stuff, I'm sure I'll have links down in the description below, and
Yep.
we'll do another one of these at some point. There's the Summer Game Fest. That's what it is. Summer Game Fest has been announced
Yeah.
for sometime early June. I can't remember. So hopefully we'll both be there for that, reacting to that.
Hopefully, yeah.
So you can look forward to that. But yeah, let us know what you think about, um, you know, all the stuff that we talked about, the the stupid decisions that Warner Brothers making, what games you're looking forward to for the rest of the year,
Yeah, tell
and
us.
yeah, let us know in the comments below or wherever you're listening. Thanks for watching. Bye.
See ya.